We are starting today's show off with a bang because we have a very special guest as we welcome you on into One Soccer today, right here on onesoccer.ca. Yeah, you know us, Andy, Gareth, Ollie. But do you know the man who's in the other corner over there as I kind of figure out which way my computer's allowing me to point? That's right. He is the new head coach of Vancouver FC. That would be Afshin Ghotbi. Really appreciate you taking the time, Afshin. Congratulations on the new job. Congratulations on coming to the Canadian Premier League. And I guess that's probably a question that's on everyone's mind. What enticed you to come to the CPL?
Well, first of all, we have one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and Vancouver is by far one of the prettiest cities I've ever worked in and visited. I've been here almost 2 days, and I'm so overwhelmed with the beauty of just the scenery and the kindness of the people that I've met in Vancouver. So I'm really excited to be in this country and in this city. But I think it's a pivotal moment for Canadian football. They have qualified for the World Cup for the first time in, I think, over 30 plus years. Canada will host the World Cup in 2026. So I believe there's a massive interest in the game, but also great talent. I've seen Canadian players in Europe rolling the ball and kicking the ball, and they're doing an amazing job. I've seen Canadian national team beat USA in the qualification, and in the style that they beat USA was very fascinating for me. And the owner of Vancouver FC is a player that I knew, and I tried to recruit to my team in Japan. And I'm really impressed with how he's handled his career after finishing playing and his vision for the game. So we share a lot of same principles, values. Project is interesting for me. A team with no history, no players, stadium just being built. So everything for me is a challenge that at this stage of my career really excites me.
Very cool. So you have a blank slate. What will your side look like? Like, what is your footballing approach, and how are you going to build this from the ground up?
Well, in my career, I've had some interesting challenges going to teams where we're just relegated, and my job was to promote them, and they lost all their players. I went to a Japanese team in 2011. 11 of the players left, the main players left, and I had to literally, when I arrived back from the Asian Cup 2011, I showed up and there's 16 players and half of them were injured, and we had to start from zero. So it's kind of this project it interests me in a way that we can kind of create a team from scratch and select players that fit the vision we have for the game, that fit the DNA of the city, and kind of allows us to achieve the goals that we have for the club in identifying players with character, with talent, with ambition, train them, develop them, and allow them to live their dream in the highest level of football by moving on and transferring them out to the leagues around European football. So it's a fascinating, I think, vision we have and target we have. And Rob and myself, we had to go abroad, leave our families sometimes, and be by ourselves in new land and new countries and new cultures, new language, and everyday fight to prove ourselves, because we're foreigners and we have to be better than the domestic coaches or players. So we shared that together, and also at the time where the opportunities were not there. Very few Canadian players were going abroad and playing in European football when Rob did it. And very few American, Iranian coaches were going to Asian football in Japan, Korea, China, Iran. So these are, I think, we want to make it a little bit easier. It was too, to be honest, taxi. You can see the wrinkles, the color of my hair. It was not easy.
Hair looks awesome.
It was not easy.
Well, I mean, Afshin, just hearing you right now talk about, coaching in all these different places as well, and you've been exposed to so many different tactics and obviously passion and love for the game and different levels of it as well. So I know you have yet to coach, but clearly you've been watching the CPL. How do you think the CPL even compares to some of these other leagues?
I think it's a great question. I can share with you, for example, in China, when I heard the budget that we have to select 23 players. I mean, literally the budget we have for 23 players is less than the budget we had, much less than a budget we had for a foreign player in Chinese football in the Super League. So I think what Canadian soccer has done is for me very fascinating. They've created budgets that will allow the owners to make a sustainable league, to allow the sport to grow, and the talent they've been able to draw with some of the players that are playing in the league for the salaries they pay is absolutely incredible. So I think it's that's one comparison I can share with you. The other comparison is when I see the style of football that's playing in Canadian Premier League, it's by far better than what I've seen in many of the other leagues that I've worked in. I see every player exhibiting the ball handling speed, the tactical awareness, and the spirit that I think Canada stands for. So those are incredible for salaries they get paid. So I have a lot of respect for these players. I know how difficult it is to live, for example, in some of the cities they're living in and getting the salaries they get paid. That shows how passionate they are for the game and how they're living really their dream.
It is still obviously a very young league, coach, as you alluded to there. And I think one of the things we saw, particularly in 2019 in the first year, is that sometimes the coaches in the league have to not just be coaches, but also almost ambassadors for the club, right? And creating the community around the club and, trying to attract fans to the club as well. Is that kind of a role that you're comfortable in and you're looking forward to getting out into that community?
I actually love this role because I came to America in 1977 as a 13-year-old boy, and as I would kick the ball around in my front yard, people would walk by and say, "What are you doing?" They didn't know the sport, and I had to spell soccer. And for me, it was football, but that say soccer and SOCCER. In junior high, I went to my principal and I said, "We have a lot of immigrant children, and we want to play soccer. Can we make a team?" And the principal looked at me and said, "What is this?" And I explained the game to him. And then he said, "Well, find me a coach and we'll give you a team." So I went to the local YMCA, and I was 13 years old and took the initiative because of my passion and love for the game. I found a coach at YMCA. He came over and we made a team. And then I realized he was really clever. He made us do all this community work, and then in return, he coached us 2 times a week. So he was actually the clever one, not me. So for me, I think it's the passion for the game that's contagious, passion for anything that you do. I think wins other people's hearts and allows people to be interested in what you do because they're interested. Why are you passionate for something like a game with 11 guys chasing the ball around? So I really do believe that it's our duty, it's our job to promote the game and to instill the love we have for this game so this game can grow and become a mainstream sport in Canada and North America. And I mean, even what's happened in America is fascinating. And the last thing I want to share with you, which is a really great story, is I started a football academy back in 1988. I was just a young boy, 24 years old, and I decided I had an engineering degree and a choice to be a full-time soccer coach or to be an engineer. And so I decided I didn't want to do something I'm not passionate about. So I secretly didn't tell my parents. I started a full-time soccer academy in Southern California, right outside the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. I had $100 in my bank account. And so I thought, how am I going to manage this? So I calculated what my costs were, $1,500 a month I could survive. How can I make $1,500 a month from soccer so I can do this? I went to a bank. I said, I'm trying to start a soccer academy. Can I get a loan to start this academy? They said, what do you do? I'm a soccer coach. I want to do a soccer school. And they looked at me. They said, are you kidding? Do you have any collateral? I said, yes, I have a few soccer balls. I have some cones and I have some covers. And obviously they said, sorry, we cannot give you a loan. So this is the story, and this is what we have to do for this sport. And I'm really happy to be at this stage in my career, have to revisit those moments. But obviously, the national team has done extremely well, and I won't have to go to the bank and ask for a loan.
I hope not.
You're very ambitious. Lots of passion, very ambitious, very young. And before we let you go, because we really appreciate you taking the time, obviously being in Vancouver right now, we're in the off season. So just maybe what are your first set of goals that you're hoping to
Mm.
accomplish here to get the team ready for kickoff in 2023?
Well, we obviously with the regulations we have to find 16 Canadian players. So in the last 4 weeks, I've been literally watching so many of the Canadian Premier League matches and looking at different players. There are 43 free agent players that I've been looking at. So basically, we're trying to target the players that we want to build a team around. Obviously, we're looking at the foreign market and the players that we can afford and the players that fit the model of football we want to play. I'm very into attacking football. I like to play very organized with high tempo, players that have a very high handling speed of the ball, that have very high football IQ, and they have the spirit that I think the city of Vancouver and the DNA of the city of Vancouver, and Vancouver really likes winners, and we want to find players that want to win when they play.
Awesome.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Appreciate you taking the time here. Congratulations. We really look forward to the team you're going to put together, and we love seeing the CPL grow. And you being a part of that is also pretty special because it seems like we can pick your brain for a lot more great stories as well. I feel like you might have some
No
great
kidding.
stories about Rob Friends.
Yes.
Don't you think so?
Yes, and I just want to say that I'm really proud of your stations, One Soccer, what you're doing for the game and what you're doing for Canada. I'm really, really proud of and happy to be part of your family.
Amazing.
Welcome to the family.
Coach, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
That is your new head coach of Vancouver FC, Afshin Ghotbi.